I sat at my parents' dining table, fork frozen halfway to my mouth as my mother's voice cut through the room like a knife. Eddie, why can't you be more like your sister Clara? She sends us $4,560 every single month to help us. $4,560. And what do? Nothing. You are an ungrateful son. My father nodded, his face hard with disappointment. I set down my fork, my stomach churning. Mom, Dad, I need to tell you something. That money, it's actually from me. I've been sending it through Clara's account because you said you didn't want my help after our fight 5 years ago. And she offered to. My father's fist slammed on the table. Don't you dare try to steal your sister's accomplishments. If you're telling the truth, then stop the payments right now. Prove it. The challenge hung in the air. I looked at Clara across the table. She said nothing, just stared at her plate. Fine. I would prove it. I pushed back from the table, the chair scraping loudly against the hardwood floor. My mother gasped at the sound, but I barely heard it over the blood rushing in my ears. I grabbed my jacket from the back of the chair and walked out of that house without another word. The cool evening air hit my face as I climbed into my car, hands shaking as I gripped the steering wheel. 5 years ago, everything had fallen apart between us. I had just finished my degree in finance and told my parents I wanted to become a financial advisor. My father had looked at me like I had announced I was joining the circus. A financial advisor? Eddie, your sister is a hospital administrator. She has a respectable career. She helps people. What do? You play with other people's money. My mother had been worse. We raised you to be better than this. We sacrificed everything so you could become a doctor like we planned, like Clara achieved in her field. You're throwing it all away. The argument had lasted hours. Voices raised, old wounds reopened. My father had finally said the words that changed everything. If this is the path you choose, don't expect anything from us. We want nothing from a son who wastes his potential. My mother had nodded, tears streaming down her face. We will manage on our own. We don't need help from someone who disappoints us so deeply. I had left that night and barely spoken to them for months. It was Clara who had reached out, who had suggested the arrangement. Eddie, I know they're being unfair, but they're struggling financially. Dad's pension isn't enough, and Mom's medical bills are piling up. Send the money to my account, and I'll pass it along to them. Eventually, I'll tell them it's from you. They just need time to cool down. I had believed her. God help me. I had trusted my own sister. Now, driving home through the dark streets of suburban Ohio, I realized how naive I had been. I pulled into my apartment complex, parked, and sat in the car for a long moment before heading inside. My apartment was small but comfortable, a one-bedroom place in a decent neighborhood. I had worked hard to build my career despite my parents' disapproval. I had clients who trusted me, a good reputation at the firm, a stable life. I opened my laptop and logged into my bank account. There it was, clear as day. The automatic transfer to Clara's account. $4,560. Sent on the first of every month for the past 5 years. 60 months. $273,600 total. I had sent my parents nearly $274,000, and they thought it was from Clara. My finger hovered over the mouse. Cancel automatic transfer. Confirm cancellation. Are you sure? Yes, I was sure. I clicked through the prompts until the screen showed. Transfer canceled successfully. I pulled out my phone and texted Clara. I told them the truth. Dad said to stop the payments. So I did. 3 dots appeared immediately. She was typing. The response came through, and I read it twice, unable to believe the words. You idiot. You just ruined everything. Don't contact me again. I stared at the message, my chest tight. Ruined everything? What had I ruined except her lie? I tried to call her. The phone rang once, then went to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. A third time. This time, a message popped up. The person you are trying to reach is not available. She had blocked me. I sat on my couch in the dark, phone in hand, trying to understand what had just happened. My sister, who I had trusted, who I had sent $250,000 to pass along to our parents, had just cut me off completely. The cold anger in her text message replayed in my mind. Not surprise, not guilt, not apology. Just rage that I had exposed her. Sleep did not come easily that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering what tomorrow would bring. I did not have to wait long to find out. My phone rang at 6:30 in the morning, jarring me from the shallow sleep I had finally fallen into around 4. I grabbed it from the nightstand, squinting at the screen. "Mom," I answered, my voice rough with exhaustion. "Hello?" The scream that came through the speaker made me pull the phone away from my ear. "How could you? How could you be so cruel and heartless? You cut off our income. Your father and I depend on that money, Eddie. We have bills, we have the mortgage, we have medical expenses. What kind of son does this to his own parents?" "Mom, I was the one sending the money. I've been trying to tell you." "Liar. You're a liar and you're jealous of your sister. Clara already explained everything to us last night after you left. She told us the truth about you." My stomach dropped. "What truth?" "Mom, what did she say? That you've been jealous of her success for years. That you set up fake accounts to make it look like you were sending money, just to make her look bad. That you're having some kind of breakdown. Eddie, you need help. Professional help." "Mom, I have bank statements. I have proof. Let me come over and show you." "Don't come here. Your father doesn't want to see you right now. He's too upset." She hung up. I sat on the edge of my bed, phone still in my hand, trying to process what had just happened. Clara had gotten to them first. She had spun a story that made me look like the villain, like some jealous, unstable person trying to steal credit for her generosity. A text came through from my father. Just 3 sentences. "You are no longer our son. Do not come to family events. We are done with your lies." I got dressed mechanically, my mind racing. I had to fix this. I had to make them see the truth. I drove to Clara's house, a beautiful colonial in an expensive neighborhood about 20 minutes from my apartment. Her BMW sat in the driveway. I parked on the street and walked to her front door. I rang the doorbell. Once, twice, 3 times. I could see movement through the frosted glass panels on either side of the door. "Clara, I know you're in there. Please, just talk to me. We need to straighten this out." Her voice came from inside, loud and sharp. "Get off my property, Eddie. Clara, please. Just tell them the truth. That's all I'm asking. If you ever tell anyone else your crazy story, I will accuse you of harassment and get a restraining order. I'm serious. Leave now, or I'm calling the police." I stood there for another moment, then turned and walked back to my car. My own sister was threatening me with a restraining order for asking her to tell the truth. I drove to my parents' house next. I had to try, even though Mom had told me not to come. I had bank statements on my phone. I had transfer records. I had everything I needed to prove I was telling the truth. My father opened the door before I even reached the porch. "I told you not to come here. Dad, please. Just look at these." I pulled up my banking app, tried to show him the screen. "See? These are my accounts. These are the transfers. Every month for 5 years. I can get certified statements from the bank. I can." He pushed my hand away, not even glancing at the screen. "Documents can be faked. Clara already showed us her records. She warned us you might try something like this." My mother appeared behind him, her eyes red from crying. "Eddie, why are you doing this? Why are you trying to destroy your sister?" "I'm not trying to destroy anyone. I'm trying to tell you the truth. The truth is that your sister has been supporting us for 5 years while you did nothing but criticize our choices and ignore your family." My mother's voice broke. "And now you're trying to take credit for her kindness because you're jealous." "Mom, that's not what happened. Please, just listen." My father's face had turned red. "Eddie, there's something else you should know. We borrowed money from your Aunt Patricia and Uncle James and your cousin Michael to pay for the new roof and the furnace repairs last year. $40,000 total. We borrowed it because we knew Clara's support was steady and reliable. Now that support is gone because of whatever game you're playing, and we have to pay that money back. How are we supposed to do that?" The words hit me like a physical blow. "What? You borrowed $40,000? Based on Clara's income contributions, yes. The family was willing to help us because they saw how Clara was taking care of us. Now you've destroyed that. So you're going to pay us back that $40,000 since you caused this problem. I didn't cause this. I've been helping you all along. Get out, Eddie. Just get out. My father started to close the door. Dad, wait. The door slammed in my face. I heard the deadbolt slide into place. I walked back to my car, feeling like the ground had disappeared beneath my feet. This was impossible. This was insane. How had everything gone so wrong so quickly? My phone buzzed. A text from Aunt Patricia. Eddie, your parents told us what you did. We need that $15,000 back that we lent them. You have 30 days. Another text, this one from Uncle James. Very disappointed in you, Eddie. We expected better. We need the $12,000 we lent your parents. Please arrange payment. I sat in my car outside my parents' house, watching the texts come in. Cousin Michael, $900. My father's brother, Uncle Richard, $5,000. They all wanted their money back, and they all blamed me. I drove to work in a daze, barely seeing the road in front of me. The offices of Patterson Financial Services occupied the third floor of a glass and steel building in downtown Columbus. I had worked there for 4 years, building my client base slowly and carefully. I was proud of what I had accomplished. When I walked in that morning, I thought I was going to a safe place. Somewhere, the chaos of my family drama could not touch me. I was wrong. My assistant, Jenny, looked up as I approached my office, her expression worried. Eddie, Gary wants to see you right away. He said it's urgent. Gary Patterson was the owner of the firm, a man in his early 60s who had built the company from nothing. He was fair, demanding, and not prone to drama. When Gary said something was urgent, it was. I knocked on his office door. Come in, he called. Gary sat behind his desk, his face serious. Another man sat in one of the chairs across from him, someone from HR whose name I could never remember. This was not good. Eddie, sit down. Gary gestured to the empty chair. We have a situation that needs to be addressed. What kind of situation? Yesterday afternoon, we received a call from Donald Brenner. Donald was one of my longtime clients, a retired teacher who I had been managing investments for since my second year at the firm. He was very upset. He said that a woman claiming to be your sister called him and told him that you have been stealing from family members and cannot be trusted with money. She suggested he move his accounts to another advisor immediately. The room seemed to tilt. What? Clara called my client. Is Clara your sister's name? Gary asked. Yes, but I don't understand. Why would she do that? The HR representative spoke up. Mr. Patterson, do you have any explanation for why your sister would contact your clients with these allegations? I took a deep breath, trying to organize my thoughts. There's a family situation happening right now. It's complicated, but the short version is that I've been financially supporting my parents for 5 years, and my sister has been taking credit for it. I confronted her about it yesterday, and now she's lashing out. Gary leaned back in his chair. Eddie, you've been with us for 4 years. You have a clean record, good client reviews, no complaints. But this is serious. If clients start believing you're involved in financial impropriety with your own family, it damages not just your reputation but the firm's reputation. I understand. I can provide documentation that proves what I've been doing. Bank statements, transfer records, everything. I'm going to need you to do that, Gary said. But in the meantime, I have to suspend you with pay pending an internal review. It's standard protocol when there's an allegation like this. Suspended? The word came out sharper than I intended. Gary, I didn't do anything wrong. I believe you, Eddie, but I have to follow procedure. Get me that documentation as soon as possible, and we'll resolve this quickly. I walked out of Gary's office feeling numb, suspended. My career, the one thing I had built despite my parents' disapproval, was now threatened because of Clara's lies. I drove straight to my bank. The branch manager, Diane Morrison, had helped me set up my accounts when I first started at Patterson Financial. She was a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. Eddie, good to see you. What can I do for you today? Diane, I need certified copies of all my account statements for the past 5 years, with special emphasis on the transfers I've been making to my sister's account. I need documentation that will hold up under scrutiny. She raised an eyebrow. That sounds serious. It is. There's a family situation, and I need to prove where my money has been going. Give me about an hour. I'll get you everything you need, properly certified and notarized. I sat in the bank's waiting area, watching people come and go, conducting their normal banking business. Nobody there knew that my life was falling apart. Nobody knew that my sister was systematically destroying my reputation. When Diane returned, she handed me a thick envelope. Everything's in here. Statements, transfer records, all certified. If you need anything else, let me know. Thank you, Diane. I really appreciate this. I drove home and spent the next 2 hours at my kitchen table, organizing everything. I created a timeline document, outlining every transfer, every conversation, every event. I scanned all of Diane's certified documents. Then I composed an email to my parents, to Clara, and to every member of my extended family who had been messaging me. The email was long but clear. I laid out the facts, attached the documentation, and asked them to please review everything before making any judgments. I explained that I had never wanted credit for helping my parents. I had only wanted to help them despite our disagreement. I explained that Clara had offered to be the intermediary and that I had trusted her. I hit send and sat back, hoping that maybe, finally, someone would listen. Within 2 hours, my phone buzzed. An email response from Clara, sent to everyone on the chain. She had attached her own documents, bank statements that appeared to show transfers from a joint account I had never heard of, screenshots of text messages I had never sent, a detailed explanation of how I had been mentally unstable for months, how she had been trying to help me, how I was now lashing out because she had tried to intervene in my concerning behavior. The documents looked real. They looked convincing. They were also completely fabricated. My phone started ringing. Aunt Patricia. I answered. Eddie, I don't know what to believe anymore. Clara's evidence looks legitimate, but so does yours. What is going on? Aunt Patricia, I swear to you, I'm telling the truth. Those documents Clara sent are fake. I've never had a joint account with her. Those text messages are fabricated. Please, you know me. You've known me my whole life. I thought I knew you. But Clara seems so certain, and she has evidence. Eddie, I'm going to have to talk to a lawyer about getting my money back. I lent that to your parents in good faith. She hung up. The calls kept coming. Uncle James, skeptical but concerned. Cousin Michael, angry and accusatory. Uncle Richard, confused and asking me to please sort this out. Some of them seemed to believe me. Most of them did not know what to think. Then my work phone rang. A client, Sandra Myers, a widow I had been helping plan her retirement for 3 years. Eddie, I just got a very disturbing phone call. A woman named Clara called me and said some things about you that I found very upsetting. She said you've been involved in financial fraud with your family. She said I should move my accounts immediately. Is this true? My blood ran cold. Sandra, no. It's absolutely not true. There's a family situation, and my sister is making false accusations. I can provide you with documentation. Eddie, I'm sorry, but I can't take that risk. I'm going to transfer my accounts to another firm. I hope you understand. Sandra, please, just let me explain. But she had already hung up. I sat at my kitchen table, surrounded by documents that proved my innocence, and watched my career crumble. Clara had not just contacted one client. She had contacted multiple clients. She was not defending herself. She was attacking me with precision and malice. That evening, my landlord, Mr. Chen, knocked on my door. He was an elderly man who had always been kind to me. Eddie, I received a very strange email today. Someone claiming to be a concerned family member said that you were mentally unstable and potentially dangerous. They said I should be careful about having you as a tenant. He looked uncomfortable. I've never had any problems with you. But this concerns me. Can you explain what's going on? I felt something inside me break. Clara was not just going after my career, she was going after my housing, my stability, everything. Mr. Chen, I'm dealing with a family member who is making false accusations. I'm not dangerous. I'm not unstable. I'm just trying to defend myself against lies. He nodded slowly. I want to believe you, Eddie, but I have other tenants to think about. I'm going to need you to find another place to live. I'll give you 60 days. I'm sorry. After he left, I sat on my couch in the dark, realizing the full scope of what Clara was doing. She was not just taking credit for my generosity. She was systematically destroying every aspect of my life. My family believed her lies. My clients were leaving. My home was no longer secure, and I had no idea how to stop her. The next morning, I called Thomas Brady, an attorney I had met at a professional networking event 2 years earlier. He specialized in employment law and civil litigation. If anyone could help me navigate this nightmare, it was Thomas. His secretary put me through immediately. Eddie Patterson, I haven't heard from you in a while. What's going on? I spent 30 minutes explaining everything. The financial support, Clara's lies, the client complaints, the suspension from work, the landlord's notice. Thomas listened without interrupting, occasionally making notes. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Eddie, this is more serious than I think you realize. Your sister isn't just lying to your family. She's engaging in targeted harassment that's affecting your employment and housing. That crosses legal lines. But here's what concerns me most. The fact that she's contacting your clients suggests she's willing to go very far to protect whatever she's built on these lies. We need to understand why. What do you mean? People don't usually go to these lengths unless they have something significant to lose. I think we need to look into your sister's finances. If she's been claiming to support your parents, she might be using that claim in other ways. Like what? Credit applications, loan approvals, character references. There are a lot of ways that appearing to be a generous, family-oriented person can benefit someone financially and socially. I'd like to hire a private investigator to look into this. With your permission. How much will that cost? A few $1,000s. But I think it's necessary. In the meantime, I need you to stop contacting your family members. I know that's hard, but every interaction gives your sister more ammunition. Let me handle communications through official legal channels. I agreed, though the idea of cutting off contact with my parents felt like giving up. But Thomas was right. Nothing I said was getting through to them anyway. 2 days later, Thomas called me back. Eddie, we need to meet in person. Can you come to my office this afternoon? I arrived at his downtown office at 3 o'clock. Thomas had papers spread across his conference table. I started with basic background checks and public records, he said. Your sister's salary as a hospital administrator is roughly $90,000 a year. That's a good salary, but not exceptional. Now look at this. He showed me a property record. She bought her house 3 years ago for $450,000. She put down $90,000 as a down payment. How did she afford that on her salary while supposedly sending my parents $4,560 a month? Exactly. So I looked deeper. In the past 3 years, your sister has taken out 3 personal loans totaling $75,000 from different lenders. Here's where it gets interesting. On each loan application, she listed substantial monthly expenses for supporting elderly parents. That makes her look responsible and increases her creditworthiness. Banks like to see that someone is taking care of family obligations because it suggests financial stability and good character. I felt sick. She's been using my money to build credit? It appears so. But there's more. Look at these credit card applications. She has 5 credit cards with a total available credit of over $100,000. Again, on each application, she mentioned supporting her parents. It creates a narrative of someone who is financially generous and responsible. Is that fraud? Potentially, yes. If she's making false statements on credit applications, that's illegal. But here's the bigger problem. Thomas pulled out another document. I found something else. Your sister has been volunteering at a charity that helps elderly people with financial planning. According to their website, she's on the board of directors. And according to their donation records, she's listed as a major donor. She can't be a major donor. She doesn't have that kind of money. Exactly. I think she's been inflating her charitable contributions and using her supposed support of your parents as evidence of her generous nature. This has probably helped her socially and professionally. People trust her. They think she's this wonderful person who takes care of her aging parents while also giving back to the community. I put my head in my hands. So she's built her entire public image on lies. And if I expose her, I destroy all of that. Yes. Which is why she's fighting so hard to discredit you. You're not just threatening to embarrass her. You're threatening to unravel years of careful image building and potential financial fraud. What do? We gather more evidence. I'm going to subpoena her financial records for the workplace case. If there's fraud, we'll find it. But Eddie, you need to understand something. If we expose this, your sister could face criminal charges. Are you prepared for that? I thought about Clara, about the girl who used to share her lunch with me in elementary school, who had helped me with my math homework, who had been my best friend before life and choices pulled us apart. Was I prepared to send her to prison? But then I thought about what she was doing to me. The calculated cruelty of contacting my clients, the deliberate destruction of my reputation, the lies she was telling anyone who would listen. Do what you have to do, I told Thomas. Over the next week, things got worse before they got better. My employer called me in again. Gary looked exhausted. Eddie, I'm sorry. 2 more clients have requested to transfer their accounts because of what they're calling the family scandal. The firm can't afford this kind of publicity. Even though our investigation found no evidence of wrongdoing on your part, we're going to have to let you go. You're a liability. Gary, I'm fighting this. I'm working with a lawyer. Give me more time. I've given you all the time I can. I'm sorry, Eddie. You'll receive 2 weeks severance pay. Please clean out your desk today. I packed my belongings into a cardboard box, while my coworkers watched with expressions ranging from sympathy to suspicion. 4 years of building my career, gone in less than a week. That evening, as I sat in my apartment, that I would have to leave in 53 days, my phone rang. It was Marcus Chen, one of my former colleagues. We had started at Patterson Financial around the same time and had always gotten along well. Eddie, I'm calling you from my personal phone because I don't want this traced back to me at work. But you need to know something. What is it? I spent 30 minutes explaining everything. The financial support, Clara's lies, the client complaints, the suspension from work, the landlord's notice. Thomas listened without interrupting, occasionally making notes. My stomach dropped. The state licensing board? Yeah. Eddie, I think she threatened to file a complaint with them. If they investigate you, even if they find nothing, it can take months and cost you thousands in legal fees. And it stays on your record that you were investigated. She's trying to make sure I can never work in finance again. That's what it looks like to me, man. I'm really sorry. For what it's worth, I don't believe any of this stuff about you. But I wanted you to know what I saw. After Marcus hung up, I sat in silence for a long time. Clara was not content with destroying my current situation. She was working to destroy my future. If the state board investigated me, no financial firm would hire me, even if I was eventually cleared. I called Thomas and told him what Marcus had said. That's intimidation, and possibly blackmail if she threatened Gary with false accusations unless he fired you, Thomas said. But it's also escalation. She's getting desperate. That's actually good for us. How is any of this good? Because desperate people make mistakes. And I think we're about to catch her in a big one. The subpoena for her financial records came through today. We'll have them by early next week. Hang in there, Eddie. But hanging in there was getting harder every day. My savings were depleting rapidly. Lawyer fees, motel costs while I looked for a new apartment, daily expenses with no income. I had maybe 2 months of runway left before I would be in serious financial trouble myself. 3 days later, Helen Martinez, my parents' next-door neighbor, called me. Helen was a kind woman in her 70s who had known my family for 15 years. Eddie, I hope you don't mind me calling. Your mother gave me your number years ago in case of emergency. I'm not sure if this is an emergency, but I thought you should know. Your parents are in trouble. What kind of trouble? Financial trouble. I heard your father on the phone yesterday with the bank. They're threatening foreclosure. Something about missed loan payments. Your mother looked so upset, Eddie, and I haven't seen Clara visit in weeks. Not since all this started. Has my mother had any health issues lately? Helen hesitated. She had a scare last week. Her blood pressure spiked really high, and your father had to take her to the emergency room. They kept her overnight for observation. I asked your father if he had called Clara, and he said he did, but she didn't come to the hospital. He made excuses for her, said she was busy with work. But Eddie, what kind of daughter doesn't come when her mother is in the hospital? After talking with Helen, I sat with that information for a long time. Clara had abandoned our parents now that the money had stopped. She had used them, used me, used everyone. And now that her scheme was exposed, she had moved on. Our parents were facing foreclosure. Our mother had been in the hospital, and Clara could not be bothered to show up. I thought about driving over there, about trying one more time to talk to them. But Thomas's words echoed in my mind. Stop contacting them. Let me handle it through official channels. So instead, I did nothing. I sat in my temporary motel room because I had not found an affordable apartment yet, surrounded by boxes of my belongings, and I did nothing. That night, I hit rock bottom. I had no job, no family, dwindling savings, and a sister who was trying to destroy what little I had left. I had tried to help my parents for 5 years, and this was where it had gotten me. For the first time since this whole nightmare started, I let myself cry. The motel room was depressing. Thin walls, a bed that sagged in the middle, the constant sound of traffic from the highway nearby. I had been there for a week, and every day felt longer than the last. I had applied to 3 different apartment complexes, but my credit had taken a hit after I had to cancel some automatic payments to preserve cash. 2 had rejected me outright. 1 was still pending. Thomas called on a Tuesday morning. I was sitting on the motel bed, scrolling through job listings that I knew I could not apply for until the situation with Clara was resolved. Eddie, we have a problem. Your Aunt Patricia has filed a civil lawsuit against you. She's suing for fraud and emotional distress, seeking $50,000 in damages. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. 50,000? She only lent my parents 15,000. The rest is for emotional distress and punitive damages. And here's the worst part. Clara has submitted an affidavit supporting the lawsuit. She's provided testimony that backs up your aunt's claims that you manipulated the family's financial situation. That's perjury. She's lying under oath. Yes, it is. But proving that is going to take time and money. Eddie, fighting this lawsuit is going to cost around $20,000 in legal fees. I can try to get it dismissed based on the evidence we're gathering, but there are no guarantees. $20,000 I did not have. My savings account had about $32,000 left after months of lawyer fees and living expenses with no income. What are my options? We fight it, or you settle. But if you settle, it's going to look like an admission of guilt, which will hurt us in the workplace situation, and with the state board, if Clara files a complaint there. So I have no choice but to fight. That's my recommendation. But I wanted you to know what we're up against. After Thomas hung up, I sat there trying to figure out how this could get any worse. The answer came 2 days later. Marcus called again, his voice low and urgent. Eddie, you're not going to like this. Clara came back to the office yesterday. I was in the break room, and she didn't know I was there. I heard her talking to Gary in the hallway. She was offering him something she called documentation of your other fraudulent activities. She said if he would write a formal complaint to the state licensing board, she would provide evidence of multiple instances of financial misconduct. What evidence? I haven't done anything wrong. I know, man. But she's creating a narrative. Gary looked really uncomfortable. He told her he wasn't going to do that the firm had conducted a thorough investigation and found nothing. But Eddie, she's not going to stop. She's going to keep pushing until someone believes her. After Marcus hung up, I made a decision. I called Thomas. I want to go after her. Whatever it takes. If she's committing fraud, if she's lying under oath, if she's harassing my clients, I want to pursue every legal avenue we have. Are you sure? This could get ugly. It's already ugly. And she's not going to stop until she's destroyed me completely. So let's show her what happens when you push someone too far. Thomas was quiet for a moment. Okay. I'll contact the FBI's Financial Crimes Division with what we've found. If they think there's enough evidence, they'll open an investigation. 2 days later, I got a call from Robert Chen, the owner of the accounting firm and father of my landlord. I had done some financial planning work for him years ago when I was first starting out. Eddie, I've been hearing some disturbing things about you around town. People saying you're involved in some kind of family financial fraud. I wanted to hear your side of the story. I explained everything, too tired to care anymore whether people believed me or not. Robert listened carefully. When I finished, he said, "That doesn't sound like the Eddie Patterson I know. In fact, it sounds like you might be the victim here, not the perpetrator." "Eddie, I want to tell you something. About 8 months ago, my mother, who's in a nursing home, started having problems with her credit. Someone had opened 3 credit cards in her name and run up significant charges. We've been investigating it, and we tracked the fraud back to someone who works at the hospital where my mother was a patient. Someone with access to patient financial information." My heart started pounding. "What hospital?" "St. Vincent's. The same hospital where your sister works as an administrator." "Robert, are you saying?" "I'm saying I think your sister might be running a much bigger operation than just lying to your family. I've been working with a fraud investigator, and we've identified at least 6 other elderly patients whose identities were used for credit fraud. All of them were patients at St. Vincent's. All of them during the time your sister worked there." I could barely breathe. "She's stealing from elderly patients? That's what it looks like. And Eddie, I want to help you. Not just because I think you're a good person, but because I want justice for my mother and the other victims. I'm willing to testify about your sister's character and about the fraud investigation. Will you help me?" "Yes. Absolutely yes." I called Thomas immediately and told him what Robert had discovered. Thomas's voice was tight with controlled excitement. "This changes everything. If Clara is involved in identity theft, that's a federal crime. I'm going to contact the FBI today with this new information. Eddie, we might actually be able to stop her." For the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of hope. But the situation was far from resolved. I still had no job, a dwindling bank account, a lawsuit to fight, and parents who refused to speak to me. That evening, I drove to my parents' house one more time. I knew Thomas had told me not to contact them, but I had to try. Helen had said they were facing foreclosure. Whatever they thought of me, I could not let them lose their home. I knocked on the door. My father answered, his face haggard. He looked like he had aged 10 years in 2 weeks. "Eddie, I told you not to come here. Dad, please. Just let me talk to you for 5 minutes. Helen told me you're facing foreclosure. I want to help." "We don't need your help. We don't need anything from you." But my mother appeared behind him, and her expression was different. Less angry, more confused, more desperate. "Eddie, why are you doing this to us?" Her voice cracked. "Why are you making up these stories about your sister?" "Mom, I'm not making anything up. Clara has been lying to you. She's been lying to everyone. And there's something you need to know. She's under investigation for fraud. Real fraud. Not the made-up kind she's accusing me of. She's been stealing from elderly patients at her hospital." My father's face turned red. "Get out. Get out now, before I call the police." But my mother had gone very still. "What do you mean, stealing from patients?" "Mom, please, just look at this." I pulled out my phone, showing her the certified bank statements that Diane had given me. "These are my accounts. These are the transfers. Every month for 5 years. I was the one helping you, not Clara. And Clara has been using that lie to get loans, credit cards, everything. She's been committing fraud. And when I exposed her, she started attacking me to protect herself." My mother took my phone, her hands shaking. She looked at the statements, scrolling slowly through the images. "These could be fake," my father said, but his voice had lost its certainty. "They're certified by the bank, Dad. They're notarized. They're real. And if you call Diane Morrison at First National Bank, she'll confirm every single one of them." My mother looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. "Eddie, is this true? Have you really been sending us money all this time?" "Yes, Mom. Every month. I just wanted to help you, even after our fight. I never wanted credit for it. I just wanted you to be okay." My father grabbed the phone from my mother's hands, staring at the screen. His face went through a range of emotions: disbelief, confusion, understanding, horror. But Clara said, "She showed us. She had documents. She lied, Dad, about everything. And now she's trying to destroy me because I told the truth." My mother collapsed into my father's arms, sobbing. "What have we done? What have we done to our son? But my father was still struggling with it. I need to think. I need time to process this. Eddie, I need you to leave now. Please. Dad, please. Just go. I left, feeling hollow. My mother believed me, I thought. But my father was still holding on to Clara's lies, still unable or unwilling to see the truth. The next morning, Helen called me. Eddie, your mother wants to see you. She says it's important. She asked me to call because she doesn't have your number anymore. Something about your father making her delete it last week. I drove over immediately. My mother answered the door, her eyes red and swollen. Eddie, come in. Your father is at work. I need to tell you something. We sat in the living room where I had grown up, surrounded by family photos that now felt like pictures of strangers. 3 days ago, Clara called us, my mother said. She asked us to lie in depositions for the lawsuit your aunt filed against you. She wanted us to say we had seen you exhibit unstable behavior, that we had witnessed you making threats, things that weren't true. I was going to do it, Eddie. I was going to lie for her, because I believed her version of events. But when she asked me to lie, something didn't feel right. Why would she need us to lie if she was telling the truth? My mother reached out and took my hand. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for not believing you. I'm sorry for the terrible things I said. I don't know if you can ever forgive me. I felt tears running down my face. Mom, I forgive you. I've always forgiven you. I just wanted you to see the truth. Your father is coming around too, but it's harder for him. He's ashamed, Eddie. He said such horrible things to you, and he's struggling with the guilt. Give him time. We talked for hours. I told her everything. About the investigation into Clara, about losing my job, about the motel, about all of it. My mother listened, crying, apologizing, trying to understand how she had been so blind. When I finally left, I felt lighter than I had in weeks. My mother believed me. That was a start. 3 days later, Thomas called with news that changed everything. Eddie, the FBI has opened a formal investigation into your sister. They moved fast because the evidence was substantial. They've been monitoring her financial activities, and this morning they executed a search warrant on her home and office. They found extensive records of identity theft involving 14 elderly patients from St. Vincent's Hospital. Credit cards, loans, bank accounts, all opened using stolen patient information. I sat down hard on the motel bed. 14 victims? At least. They're still going through the records. But here's what matters for you. The FBI contacted the state licensing board and your former employer. They explained that you were a victim of a targeted harassment campaign by someone under federal investigation for fraud and identity theft. The licensing board has dropped any potential investigation into you, and Gary Patterson called me this morning. He wants to offer you your job back with full back pay for the time you were suspended. He wants to rehire me? The firm's reputation took a hit from letting you go. Now that the truth is coming out, they want to make it right. You don't have to take the offer, but it's on the table. I thought about going back to Patterson Financial, walking into that office where I had been humiliated, where my coworkers had watched me pack my belongings into a cardboard box. Did I want that? Tell Gary thank you. But no, I need a fresh start. I understand. Now, about the lawsuit from your aunt. I filed a motion to dismiss, based on evidence that the underlying claims were built on false testimony. The judge has agreed to hear arguments next week, but I'm confident we'll get it dismissed. What about Clara? She was arrested this morning. The FBI charged her with 14 counts of identity theft, multiple counts of fraud, and several other related charges. She's being held pending a bail hearing. Eddie, she's facing serious prison time. Minimum 4 years if she takes a plea deal, potentially much more if this goes to trial. I should have felt triumphant. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I just felt sad. My sister, the girl I grew up with, was going to prison. Over the next few days, the news spread through the family. Uncle James called to apologize. Aunt Patricia withdrew her lawsuit and sent me a letter begging for forgiveness. Cousin Michael showed up at the motel with groceries and an apology. One by one, the family members who had believed Clara's lies reached out to make amends. But the most important call came from my father. "Eddie, can we talk? Your mother and I would like to see you." I drove to their house that evening. Both of my parents were waiting in the living room. My father looked older, broken somehow. My mother looked exhausted. "Eddie, sit down, please," my father said. We sat in uncomfortable silence for a moment. Then my father spoke, his voice rough with emotion. "I have been a terrible father to you. I chose Clara over you again and again. I dismissed your accomplishments, ignored your attempts to help us, and when you needed me to believe you, I called you a liar. I don't have an excuse for that. I can't take it back. But I need you to know that I'm sorry. I'm sorrier than I've ever been about anything in my life." He was crying now, tears running down his weathered face. My mother reached over and took his hand. "We're both sorry," she said. "We've failed you as parents. We believed Clara's lies because we wanted to believe them. She was always the easier child, the one who did everything we asked, who followed the path we wanted. You challenged us, questioned us, chose your own way. We punished you for that. We punished you for being your own person. And now we're losing our home because of our own foolishness," my father said. "The bank is foreclosing. We have 40 days to either pay the arrears or leave. We borrowed money we couldn't pay back, based on lies, and now we're paying the price." "How much do you owe?" I asked. $28,000 in back payments, plus the $40,000 we borrowed from family members. "Eddie, we're not telling you this because we expect you to help. We know we don't deserve your help. We just wanted you to know the truth." I looked at my parents, really looked at them. They were in their late 60s, both dealing with health issues, facing the loss of their home. They had made terrible choices, believed terrible lies, and said terrible things to me. But they were still my parents. "I'll help you," I said quietly. "Eddie, no," my mother protested. "You don't have to do that. I know I don't have to. But I'm going to anyway. Not because you deserve it, but because I choose to. But there are conditions." "Anything," my father said. "First, we're going into family counseling. All three of us. We have a lot to work through, and we need professional help to do it. Second, we're going to be honest with each other from now on. No more pretending, no more favoritism, no more lies. And third, you're going to downsize. I'll help you with the back payments and the family debts, but you need to sell this house and move somewhere more affordable. This house has too many bad memories anyway." My father nodded. "That's more than fair. Eddie, thank you. Thank you for being a better person than we deserve." Over the next 2 weeks, things began to stabilize. Thomas negotiated with the bank on my parents' behalf. We managed to stop the foreclosure and get the house listed for sale. My parents found a smaller ranch home in a nice neighborhood, something they could afford on my father's pension without help. I paid off the family debts, all $40,000 of it, draining most of my remaining savings. But it felt right. It felt like closing a chapter. Aunt Patricia tried to return her $15,000, but I told her to keep it. "Use it to help someone else in the family who needs it," I told her. "But make sure they actually need it this first." The lawsuit was formally dismissed. Gary Patterson continued to reach out, trying to convince me to come back to the firm, but I declined each time. Clara's case moved forward. Her lawyer contacted Thomas, asking if I would be willing to write a letter to the judge asking for leniency. I thought about it for a long time before deciding. I wrote the letter. In it, I explained our childhood, the good sister I remembered, the person she had been before greed and lies consumed her. I acknowledged the pain she had caused, but asked the judge to consider that she might still have a chance at redemption. I did not know if it would make a difference, but I felt like I needed to write it. Clara eventually took a plea deal. 4 years in federal prison, followed by 5 years of supervised release. She would have to pay restitution to all her victims, a sum that would take her decades to repay. Her career was over, her reputation destroyed, her freedom gone. I did not attend her sentencing. I did not visit her in prison. Some people thought that made me cold, but I knew it was necessary. Clara had made her choices, and I had to make mine. I chose to move forward without her in my life. 6 months after everything fell apart, I was putting my life back together in ways I had not expected. I stood in the small office I had rented in a renovated building on the north side of Columbus. The The sign on the door read Patterson Financial Advisory Services. It had taken me 3 months to get all the licensing in place for my own firm, but I had done it. No more working for someone else. No more worrying about firm politics or reputation. Just me, my expertise, and clients who chose to trust me. My first clients were referrals from Robert Chen, elderly people who had been victims of financial fraud and needed someone they could trust to help them rebuild. People who needed more than just investment advice. They needed someone who understood what it felt like to be betrayed by someone you trusted. I specialized in elder financial protection now. I helped clients set up safeguards against fraud, educated families about the warning signs of financial abuse, and worked with local senior centers to provide free financial literacy workshops. The work was meaningful in a way my previous job had never been. My calendar showed I had 6 client meetings this week, with 3 more consultations scheduled for next week. The business was growing slowly but steadily. I was not making the money I had made at Patterson Financial. Not yet, but I was building something real, something that mattered. The door to my office opened, and Uncle James walked in. He had become one of my biggest supporters, telling everyone in his retirement community about my services. Today, he had brought a friend. Eddie, this is Margaret Walsh. Margaret, this is my nephew Eddie, the financial advisor I was telling you about. Margaret was a woman in her mid-70s, well-dressed but with worry lines around her eyes. Mr. Patterson, I hope you can help me. My daughter has been pressuring me to sign over power of attorney to her, and something doesn't feel right about it. She says it's for my own good, but she's been asking a lot of questions about my bank accounts lately. I gestured to the chairs across from my desk. Please, sit down. Tell me everything, and let's see what we can do to protect you. As Margaret told her story, I recognized the warning signs immediately. Financial exploitation often started with small requests, gradually escalating. I listened carefully, took notes, and by the end of our meeting, I had a plan to help her set up safeguards while still maintaining a relationship with her daughter if that was possible. After Margaret and Uncle James left, I sat at my desk and looked around my small office. It was not fancy. The furniture was second-hand, the carpet was worn, and the view from the window was just the parking lot. But it was mine. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Don't forget, counseling tomorrow at 4. Your father and I are looking forward to seeing you. The family counseling had been difficult. Hours of uncomfortable conversations, tears, anger, and slow, painful progress. My father had finally admitted the depth of his favoritism, how he had always seen Clara as the successful child and me as the disappointment. He was working on changing that perception, but it was a process. My relationship with my parents would never be what it was before. Too much had happened. Too many words had been said that could not be unsaid. But we were building something new, something based on honesty instead of illusion. It was not perfect, but it was real. They had sold the old house and moved into their smaller ranch home. My mother had joined a book club. My father had started volunteering at a local food bank. They were rebuilding their lives too, trying to figure out who they were outside of the lies Clara had woven around them. I had not heard from Clara. She was 8 months into her 4-year sentence. My mother visited her once a month, but I had asked her not to tell me about those visits. I was not ready to hear about Clara yet. Maybe I never would be. A notification popped up on my computer. A new client inquiry through my website. I opened it and started reading. Another elderly person who needed help. Another chance to use what I had learned from my own nightmare to help someone else avoid the same pain. As I typed a response, I thought about everything that had happened over the past year. I had lost my job, my savings, my relationship with my family, my sense of who I was. I had been betrayed by my sister, doubted by my parents, and abandoned by people I thought would stand by me. But I had also discovered something important. My worth was not determined by my family's approval. It never had been. I had spent years sending money to parents who did not want my help, trying to prove I was valuable, trying to earn love that should have been freely given. Now I knew better. I had built a career based on my own integrity. I had clients who trusted me because of who I was, not because of any family name or expectation. I had a relationship with my parents that was honest, even if it was not perfect. and I had learned to let go of people who refused to see the truth. The office phone rang. I answered it professionally, ready to help whoever was on the other end of the line. That evening, I drove to my new apartment, a one-bedroom place in a quiet neighborhood. It was not fancy, but it was comfortable. It was home. I made dinner, a simple pasta dish, and ate while watching the news. My phone rang. My mother. Eddie, I just wanted to thank you again for what you did for us, for helping us with the house, for the counseling, for not giving up on us even when we gave up on you. You don't have to keep thanking me, Mom. Yes, I do, because I need to say it. I need you to hear it. You're a good man, Eddie. You're a better person than your father and I ever taught you to be. You learned that on your own. After we hung up, I sat on my couch and let myself feel the weight of the past year. The pain, the betrayal, the anger, the loss, but also the growth, the strength, the clarity, the peace. I had survived. More than that, I had built something better from the ashes of what I had lost. Some people might think I should have been angrier, that I should have cut my parents off completely, refused to help them, let them face the consequences of their choices alone. Maybe they were right. Maybe I was too forgiving. But I had made a choice to help them, not because they deserved it, but because I chose to be the kind of person who helps, even when it is hard, even when it hurts. That was not weakness. That was strength. Clara had chosen lies, manipulation, and cruelty. She had built her life on a foundation of deception, and when it crumbled, she had tried to take me down with her. She had failed. I had chosen truth, integrity, and compassion. My foundation was solid because it was built on who I actually was, not on an image I was trying to project. As I got ready for bed that night, I thought about tomorrow. Another day of client meetings, another counseling session with my parents, another step forward in building the life I wanted. I thought about the question that had haunted me for so long. Was I good enough? Was I valuable? Did I matter? I finally had the answer. Yes. Not because of anything my parents said or did not say, not because of any external validation, but because I had chosen to live with integrity, even when it cost me everything. That was enough. Before I turned off the light, I thought about everyone out there facing similar situations. People whose families did not appreciate them, whose contributions went unrecognized, who felt invisible and unvalued. I thought about the people who had been betrayed by those they trusted most. So let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where someone took credit for your work or your generosity? Have you ever had to choose between exposing a lie and protecting a relationship? How did you handle it? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps more people find these stories and know they're not alone in their struggles. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We share stories like this every week, stories about real people facing real challenges and finding their way through. Share this with someone who might need to hear it. Someone who's struggling with family dynamics, someone who feels unappreciated, someone who needs to know that their worth is not determined by whether others recognize it. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being part of this community. I hope that whatever you're facing, you find the strength to stand up for your truth, the courage to set boundaries with people who hurt you, and the wisdom to know that sometimes the greatest act of love is letting go. Take care of yourselves. Remember that you are valuable, you are worthy, and you are enough, exactly as you are. Nobody can take that away from you unless you let them. Until next time, stay strong, stay true, and keep moving forward.